Welcome to the Wickford Area Committee, the first one of the municipal year. The first thing is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. An apology from Councillor Aldridge.
Do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the funding item for the Wickford Community Association, I am a treasurer of that association, so I will not take part in that discussion.
Thank you.
Oh, got it. Yeah, just to let you know that I'm on the committee for the Shotgate Community Association, so I can't be taking part in that. So, thank you.
Councillor Harris.
And I declare a non-registrable interest in my OTAS because I'm a friend of Paula Farrow, who I've known for some years. Thank you.
Right, we'll go on to funding considerations. We've got 8, including an agenda addendum, so if we take them one at a time. So the first one is a £1,500 investment delivery of the crunch service to be delivered in Wickford from the Wickford Believe in Basildon Fund. I'll pass it over to an officer.
Thanks, Councillor. Yeah, so as you set out there, £1,500 proposal for the crunch. This is similar, has been taken to, has been or will be taken to all 6 area committees. Teams over in technical services are looking to extend the opportunities around the crunch, which took place throughout the summer and was very well received by our residents. The concept today is, should the area committee choose to fund this, it will mean that an additional crunch will take place in the coming weeks. 23rd, thank you. I was trying to find that day on there, and that will be the same for the 23rd across the whole of the borough. I must say that obviously it is dependent on the majority, at least, of the area committees, if not all of them, actually agreeing for it to proceed. So the vote tonight is on the basis that all of them do agree to it. Thus far, the 2 that have met have done so. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Right, have we got any? Councillor Sargent.
I'm not quite sure what the officers just said, Chairman, on the crunch services. Some of them are not agreeing to it. Is this what the leader of the council was put into play? And because we've got one in Wickford that's here, does it mean that we have to pay for others?
No. So the proposal. All of the area committees have put it on their own. What I was saying there was that the £1,500 cost is on the basis of if everyone buys into it, it's at that price.
Councillor Allen.
And where would the crunch exactly be? We're a bit concerned because Note Bridge is a bit of an outlier as far as Wickford's concerned. And would we get a crunch in Note Bridge rather than Central Wickford? And where are the crunch skips going, is what I'm asking. Thank you.
The proposal is that it goes in the Wick Country Park. It's a central area for Wickford. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm assuming, Mr. You'll let us know, but there's nothing to stop us for the rest of the financial year in having another crunch somewhere else in the Wickford Area Committee, paid for by the Believe in Basildon Fund. If we do, would it be £1,500 still if we did one in isolation, perhaps in Crouch? would that be £1,500? So we could plan one, if we had a work programme, we could plan one in the new year or sometime for another one in the Crouch area, I'm assuming. Thank you.
So I'd need to speak to the relevant service area about that. I think the £1,500 on the basis of all 6 of them taking place on that day. So I do believe, yes, you would be able to have an additional one, but the cost might vary slightly. But I would need to talk to the officers about that.
Can I come back, Chairman? I'll be interested in that, because surely the cost will be the same if it's X number of people, X number of vehicles at one site. I'll leave it to you.
I think it's fine. I think it's the cost of the officers coming in for that period of time. So yeah, it's overtime cost, I believe.
Councillor Sargent.
Chairman, you said that it was Wick Country Park, which is the centre of Wickford. Well, it's not the centre of the Crouch, because residents are already thinking that this is a Wickford Area Committee. The people where we live, in the Crouch area, they're not sure, or they don't know that they're attached to this Wickford Area Committee. But going along on the other point that was made about others, if they're £1,500, and we all start to have one in the various areas that we live, it's going to take a substantial part of our funding just to fund a crunch.
Yeah, we was asked if we want one and where we'd like it, and as chair, I thought the Wick Country Park was a reasonably central place for it, because you've got to drive to it anyway, because it's for bulky items. So that's the proposal.
Well, I think you failed to tell us over at Crouch, Chairman.
Councillor Jeffrey.
Thanks, Chairman. Just on this point, so let's just say we're looking at additional crunches, because obviously the Wick Country Park, in the previous iteration, they did 5 weeks, which obviously covered Scott Drive and other areas. So I think if we're just looking at, say, the Wick Country Park, I think we're just cutting Wickford off just on that area alone. Not only that, I have some concerns that essentially we're being dictated to centrally, because if the council was going to fund it as it did the 5 weeks, it shouldn't be for the area committee to say we're going to pay the 1,500. It should come out of the general fund revenue as before. So whilst I don't disagree with the principle, I'm just a bit concerned that if it was funded centrally before, why is the area committee being asked to fund it when it was done for the revenue fund before?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm talking about service areas that I'm not responsible for, so I can only do my best on this. But this is this additional opportunity. It was funded through the budget at the start of the year to run for that period of time. It proved so successful that the committees have asked for it to be put on each of the 6. So that's all I can say, really, Councillor. It's an additional opportunity.
Councillor Myers. You want to come back?
Thanks, Grant. If we're just looking at it, that's the thing for me. If it was just so successful, which I think it was well received, at least from the people I spoke to across Wickford. So I think just the way that this is being proposed, I've just got some concerns that we should actually be trying to do it on a more permanent basis, because at the moment it seems rather ad hoc, and we should really be saying as a committee to the leader of the council, we want this permanently all the time. Well, not every week, but on a reasonable basis. And at this point, we're sort of selling ourselves a bit short.
Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, and obviously just to reiterate the points made by my colleagues here, of course, this particular area committee is a very large geographical area, extending from the ends of Shotgate all the way to Note Bridge. I think having it in the Wick Country Park is not a central location to the area committee itself. It is an area of Wickford instead. We're not going to have people driving from Note Bridge, Ramsden, Crays Hill to this. So obviously, if this does go ahead tonight, I would like to make an addendum to this, that if we want another crunch included, so this area has 2 at the same cost of £1,500 towards the other side of the town, then that's something I could possibly support. But at the moment, with it being where it is, just on the Wick, I can't support that. It doesn't include or centralise where our area is and what we've got to play with. And with Councillor Jeffrey's point, it should be centrally funded. We're being asked to pretty much do their job for them with money which isn't a lot, but we could do much better with for more permanent projects from the Believe in Basildon Fund. Just as a one-off, it just seems like a colossal waste of money as how it is currently written. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Myers. Anyone else got any? Councillor Harrison.
As I said previously, I think there is a case for this financial year to have one somewhere else in the area of the committee, such as Oak Bridge. Speaking whether or not the crunch should be part of the regular activities, that's a matter for the administration, isn't it? Next year, perhaps they will include the crunch on a regular basis and bring it back as it was done previously. I don't know, not part of the administration, but we could perhaps ask the administration if they're considering introducing the crunch permanently again, because it was very successful. This is on the 23rd of November, so I think it is a little bit short notice now to try and change it. I think the problem is the area where you can actually put vehicles, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Taylor, where you can put vehicles and people can get to easily with stuff, you know? Personally, I think if you have another suggestion for later in the year, put it forward. But you've got to remember also that probably the biggest part of Crouch Ward is the Wickford part of Crouch Ward in residence numbers. You've got to take that into consideration.
Councillor Sargent.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. While we're talking about funding, residents that I have spoken to in relation to the area committees, they feel that there is a disparity in funding of the area committees because we have more members on the area committee, the two area committees on north of the A127. We've got more councillor members on them. We've got 9 members, and there's less funding per person because we have 3 wards in our Wickford Area Committee. In Billericay there are 3 wards, each of 9 members, and yet the ones in Basildon and Pitsea, Langdon, they have smaller committees of 6 members and and more money per person. So really there is quite a disparity, and our money has got to go over a larger area. You know, you probably feel that yourself, Chairman, I'm sure. And is there anything, and whilst we're talking to the leader for next year, then maybe we can try to get this wrong righted. Thank you.
On that, although it's not part of the item, I didn't disagree with what you brought up at full council, but you was given an answer by the leader. So, yeah, I don't disagree with, in principle, what you're saying. No.
I would remind Councillor Sargent that I actually supported her at the ONS Commission and I did move that we had proportionality the same as across the wards and the area committees, and I was the only one who voted for it. Your 2 Conservative members on the ONS Commission voted against it.
Well, I'm speaking up for the people of Wickford Crouch.
Crouch and Castleton is the ward.
I meant the whole of Wickford, Chairman, the one that we all sit on, Wickford, Crouch.
Okay, so we're finished with that. Do we go? Oh, Councillor Myers, sorry, I didn't see you on the.
Thank you, Chair. So based on that, and obviously we're talking about the location for this and where it's going to happen. Obviously in the Wick Country Park, and I do get the population disparity, and obviously with Wickford and the Crouch area, I do understand that, but I think there has to be a location. When we're talking about where to park lorries and things, they did it down Scott Drive. It was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare round that bend. You know, coming out at 10 o'clock in the morning to go out and do me Saturday morning shopping, you couldn't get out. The lorries were everywhere. So to say that it was sort of successful and need to find somewhere with more space is I do agree with, absolutely, because where some of the locations were horrendous. But I do think that there's got to be a middle ground where we can find somewhere other than a Wick Country Park to have it so that everyone can benefit. There are locations along, you know, in Craig's Hill where everyone can easily access. There are locations at sort of, Church Road, Barleyland, so everyone can access, which is in the middle of everyone. So I just ask for that to be considered, and whether or not, you know, we can find, or say, agree the funding for this crunch, but then come back with a more suitable location for it going forwards. It's not up to us, is it? So ask that question. Thanks, Chair.
I think on this occasion, as Councillor Harrison said, we're too close to the date, so this one would have to be fixed at the Wick Country Park. The recommendation is the Wick Country Park. So on this occasion, I believe that is a spacious location for it. As you said, Scott Drive was a bit of a chaos, to put the least. So yeah, and perhaps if we go forward and we can get another one and put it on the work programme, because I intend to have a work programme at the end, we can look into somewhere else. But on this occasion, the recommendation is for the Wick Country Park. Councillor Harrison?
Chairman, can I move that we do hold the one on the 23rd of November at the Wick Country Park, and that in addition we ask the officers to identify a site in the further end of the area committee area, and the cost to have a crunch in next year, early next year.
Have you got a seconder for that? Yeah, I've just been told by so we can add that to the work programme. So yeah, so that.
I wasn't suggesting adding it to a work programme, Chairman. I was moving an amendment to, in effect, what we are moving, which you suggested was that we have the crunch of £1,500 in the Wick Country Park. I was adding to it. Apologise. So that officers come back and give you the information of other sites in the area and the cost of holding one Justice Area Committee, which may differ, as Mr Taylor has said earlier on.
I think that can be done, Councillor. But I think in essence that's what the work programme would do, in essence. So that would be a future thing for me to leave here and ask the relevant officers to prepare that and come back with proposals.
Okay. We need one. So Councillor Harrison has suggested his recommendation. Do we have a seconder? Could I have a seconder? Councillor. Yeah, okay. Councillor Allen seconded it. All those in favour, please show. Abstentions? Against? Oh, right, okay. The second item, £1,000 investment into the installation of a new bench in Elder Avenue Park from the Wickford Believe in Basildon Fund. Could Councillor Grant?
Yeah, there's probably not a lot I can add to this one, Councillor. So yeah, so obviously one of the options that's come up that's been proposed is a new bench in Elder Avenue, is identified as a place where, as I understand from talking to communities, where one could benefit community health and well-being and people being able to access and enjoy the green space. Yeah, it's quite a simple one really, as to whether something people would support or otherwise.
Thank you. Any comment?
Thanks, Chairman. But perhaps Grant could advise us where this bench is proposed to be sited.
No, I don't think I can. It's been proposed by the committee, so I've just got the cost for what it will be. So I don't know if if anyone can give a specific citing to it.
Thanks. I mean, in the Elder Avenue Park, we've got 5 benches already, 2 in the play area, or in and around the play area. So I'm just, how many benches do we want? Do we want 10? Because it's just, we've got a lot of benches there already, and it's just, in terms of the funding, you know, where exactly is this bench going to go?
Yeah, I guess should you vote on it, it would be in accordance with talking to the Parks team about the appropriate location for it.
Councillor Sargent, did you want to?
Chairman, when we spoke last week, we said that ward members would be making proposals within their ward. So this is in the Castleton Crouch ward, and I don't believe it was any of our members that made this proposal. The point made by Councillor Jeffries is absolutely correct, that where's it going to go and why does it need to go somewhere, or otherwise we've got to ask an officer of where it could go. We need people to say to us, residents, we would really love a bench here, and then we can propose it and we're all happy. I'm not happy that we're having a bench, as George has said. There's 5 in the park already. And then it's up to officers to go and find out where we're going to put a park bench. I mean, and Grant said it was proposed by the committee. It was proposed by a person, not by the whole committee.
Councillor Myers first, I think.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as Councillor Sargent said, this is in my ward, in our ward, sorry, I do apologise to my 2 colleagues. But, yeah, there is, as Councillor Jeffrey rightly said, there are 5 benches there and they are not always used. You have quite fleeting runners around that park and dog walkers who currently use the spaces, and there's plenty of dog bins there as well by the benches and nearby. I don't see really the need for £1,000 to be spent on the bench in this particular recreation ground. It should be somewhere else. I mean, I definitely didn't propose it, and we two definitely didn't propose it. So I don't really know where this has come from. I know there was an argument to do with about Eve Bell, also within our ward, that we weren't particularly consulted on, other than saying that I've got a bench in lockup somewhere. But I don't know whether or not that was declined because it's not our right to do so because of highways. I don't know what.
It was land ownership
or whatever it was. But I don't, the Elder Avenue one, I'm sorry, but I don't see the need for it to spend £1,000 on an area which doesn't require an extra bench. Thank you.
Councillor Brockman?
Yeah, just to make a point, perhaps someone can find out who proposed it and where this come from. And the other thing is, we had a meeting last week, didn't we, to discuss a lot of these things beforehand. Why is it, Councillor Jeffrey, you've just come up with this when you were sitting in the room specifically playing on your computer and then didn't come up and say, oh, there's already 5 benches in there. No, you decided you'd leave it till tonight to grandstand. Well done. Crack on, son.
Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I suggest we defer this one? I listened to what's been said over there, and I have a little bit of knowledge going way back when I was chairman of neighbourhood. Oh no, actually, it's when I was mayor and I opened some new equipment there, and there were benches there then. And so I was assuming this was something been proposed by one of the members for that particular ward, and it was required now. So, in the light of what's been said, can I suggest we defer it, because there's no point in putting another bench, and you're going to go be searching round to find out, can we put one here even, or are you going to put it miles away from there just to satisfy someone wanting another bench?
Just to clarify, I proposed it because I was asked by some residents on email that we need a bench in the Elder Park, so I proposed it. So that's where it's come from, just to clarify. So Councillor Harrison's asked for it to be deferred. So as a recommendation, do we have a seconder?
Should we move it, not defer it?
Let's vote on what has been recommended first. So Councillor Brockman seconded. Yeah, we defer this item and look into the situation further. All those in favour, please show. All those against, please show. So, yep, the decision is draw. I've got a casting vote, so I'll cast the vote as originally casted the vote. So the item will be deferred. Right, thank you for that. So we'll move on to the next one. £1,000 investment for a bench seat next to the War Memorial at Ramsden Crays from the Believe in Basildon Fund. Once again, it's in Crouch and Castledon Ward. Councillor Brockman.
Can I just ask, has anyone in here got, pre-planned things? Is there 6 benches next to it? Are we all going to pull this one out of the hat suddenly? Because, is there a bench first? Let's talk about that.
Councillor Sargent.
Yes, Chairman, I proposed this one. We were unhappy that our side of the Crouch was not told earlier about getting projects together. So when we were told, I actually went out to my community, and every year I attend the War Memorial in Ramsden Crays on Remembrance Sunday, and I shall be going there on Sunday. There is no bench. There's a very nice memorial, and each year there are over 100 residents that attend it. But not only that, it's in a really nice part of Crays Hill, a very green part of Crays Hill, where there are a number of elderly people or other ages, and if they walk along the pathways, it will be a nice place for those people to be able to sit down, take a rest, and take view of the nice scenery that's around the area. So no, there's no bench. It will be very welcome by the people in Ramsden Crays, Chairman. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else to speak? Councillor Myers.
Yeah, thank you. And just to reiterate the point, this was something that we had proposed for our ward for the area committee's consideration. It is an area which is very idyllic in its scenery. It does attract a lot of dog walkers. There is nothing there at the moment around that area for the people to sitting to recuperate. So I think it's a very good idea to put a bench here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this? No? Right, so the committee agreed to £1,000 investment for a bench next to the War Memorial in Rainsford Crays from the Believe in Basildon Fund. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. Okay, so the next one is item number 4, a 2,838 funding award to My Oasis, My Time and Space from the Wickford Community Priority Fund. I'll hand over to Grant.
Thank you, Councillor. So yes, My Otis are a local charity to Wickford, formed in 2019, made up of a children's occupational therapist, primary school teacher, a special needs coordinator, an FA registered football coach and an inclusion officer. They do fantastic work, supporting more than 2,400 families, not only in Wickford but across the area. And their work really is there to help and support families and young people who are neurodivergent. I've been lucky enough personally, one of the privileges of my role is being able to work with many voluntary organisations and many inspirational local residents across the borough, and My Otis has been very much one of those, and we're very lucky to have Paula and Matt, I remembered Matt with us this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about their charity in the Community Spotlight piece later today. So yeah, the team over there have been operating from the beautiful Wickford Memorial Park for many years, and I think it's a really great privilege that we're able to use our green spaces, very calm, quiet, beautiful green spaces, to be able to support these children, young people and their families, and a great credit to Paula and Matt and the work they do. The charity are seeking funding, as the chair set out there, of 2,838. I'll get to age around the glasses, sorry. £2,838 specifically for improving awareness and acceptance of neurodiversity within the community and continuing the work that they do. And that funding will be utilised to ensure availability of a resource for 3 hours per week over a 10-week period, and towards the charity costs to cover administration and management, and just helping ensure that they continue to be able to thrive in the local community. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant. Any, Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Chairman. I was happy to actually sponsor this one. I first met Paula Farrow some time ago, walking dogs with her children who were on the spectrum, and she started this up, with, I think singularly originally, almost singularly, and I met her and saw what they did at various functions and the work they do for these youngsters. Very, very important. Excuse me. And I think later on they'll probably tell you it's not just people, the kids in Wickford, it is spread a bit wider. It probably covers the whole of Wickford, the whole of Crouch. They take youngsters in, and what they do is absolutely fantastic. And this 2,838, we should have rounded it up. Honestly believe that.
That's what they applied for. Anyone else would like to take Councillor Sargent?
I'm really pleased that we have a project of this nature come forward, and I thank Councillor Harrison for bringing this forward. This area of need is so special, and I think that maybe we should put our bench money onto this one as well to give them a little bit more support, because what they're doing for these young people is absolutely marvellous, and I congratulate them and well done, and I look forward to the presentation that we get later on. Thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else? No more speakers? I just...
Councillor Sargent has just come up with a really good idea. I don't know whether we can do it or not, but that money for the bench, can't we put that onto the very good cause? Just a thought. I support that, and I'm sure everyone else here would. Apart from George.
But we deferred the bench, didn't we? So we haven't really like banked the bench money, but we have got extra. Yeah. So can we add money to this or? Councillor Harrison.
We did defer it. We deferred it until this item.
Sorry?
Maybe look at it. It depends what the outcome of the bench money and then whether that
Yeah, but
becomes
can we add
available.
some money to this? Are we allowed to?
So I think there is an opportunity to as the information on what the charity are and what they're aiming to do, and officers have been able a chance to look through it. There is an opportunity to up the money, but to be clear, they're from two different funds. So I don't think it would be appropriate to take it from the bench because so different funds. But that doesn't mean you can't, if you choose to up the money that you'd like to give to the charity, as long as it fits under the maximum amount.
Councillor Brockman, would you like to change your proposal? Councillor Harrison?
Chairman, can I make a proposal then? Because with the funding tonight, if they all go through, on the community fund, there'll only be £9,689.64 left because that's revenue. But there is revenue also in the Believe in Basildon fund. So surely, as there's revenue in the Believe in Basildon fund, the £1,000 could still come from the Believe in Basildon fund because it can come from the revenue part and not the capital part. So I will move. We add the £1,000 to the 2838 to come from the revenue side of the Believe in Basildon fund.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah, well, now we've... So, is Councillor Sargent moving it then? Yeah. And Councillor Harrison seconded it, yeah. Okay. All those in favour, please show. Right, we move on to item 5, a £3,000 funding award to Friends of Wickford Country Park from the Community Priority Fund.
Thank you, Councillor. So the Friends of Wickford, Wick Country Park. Yeah, I'll check myself there. I've obviously been working within the Wick Country Park for many years now, doing really sterling work. And we're very lucky to have them and all of the friends groups that operate all across the borough. The proposal here is for the funding of £3,000 to support the proposal of their Wildflower Meadow project, which they've been working on with our Countryside and Parks service, and we've got Josh Childs here today. Should there be any particular questions on this? Obviously, the Wick Country Park in itself, it's very strong in providing that access to nature for local residents, in really good biodiversity and a huge asset for our borough, let alone Wickford itself. And we know the power of the Wildflower Meadows in being able to enhance biodiversity, but also bring that beauty and continued beauty into our green spaces. And yeah, so the £3,000 is that proposal. Josh, I don't know if there's anything you particularly wanted to add to this that I've not said. Okay, but there might be some questions there for you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Grant. Any questions on this? Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I was happy to sponsor this one as well, because the Friends of the Wick Country Park, they do a lot of work solidly, almost behind the scenes, without too much publicity, unlike the Friends of the Memorial Park. And it's a much bigger area, they need to look after as well. And I think the £3,000 to me, and I'm sure to them, is just a start from what this council now has to do to help them to get on the same basis almost as the Friends of the Memorial Park, because they're quite a small band at the moment, but they know what they want to do, and I think it's important that we give them this start, because they haven't had a lot previously at all from this council.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Jeffrey.
Thanks, Chairman. Just on the wildflower meadow, will it have, if I've got the location right, is it going to have any form of path running through it? Because if this is where I think it may be, there is actually sort of a worn path already. So I'm just a bit concerned that we're going to take that away as a sort of desired path across the park.
So with the wildflower area, it's not been fully decided exactly. So there's quite a large area of the park which is on a hay cut. So the £3,000 will do a percentage of an area. So we'll pick the best area to start off, and then we'll be able to work with the parks team to improve it. So we'll be able to take the green hay and spread it. So it's kind of this ongoing project that we'll work with the Friends of guys.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It was just one other point that the Friends of the Wick Country Park have been supported, at least since I've entered office. So just a correction on your part.
Thank you for that. Any other comments on this? No? Right, okay. Oh, sorry. Again, I forgot. Sorry, Councillor Myers.
Thank you. Yeah, and just to say, of course, and just to react to some of the comments, all of the voluntary groups that we have who are constituted or not, who look after parks, meadows, flowers, etc. in this area committee's remit, do an absolutely fantastic job. I know the Wick Country, Friends of the Wick Country Park are a constituted group, but there are some that aren't, which makes it a bit difficult for us to get funding to them. But I hope in the future that they'll be able to sort of be able to do that, so that we can put forward more ideas for other groups. So there is one in Oak Bridge, there is one at Ramsden Bell House as well, that do bits and bobs around Ramsden View Road. So hopefully, I know it's only low levels of volunteers, and it's difficult to try to set up these joint bank accounts and things like that with dual signatories. But they are, they're crying for money, and if we can give it to them in a way in the future, then and help them to set up their groups, then I think that'll be a fantastic project that we can go to them to try to help them out with. But yeah, I think the Wick Country Park does the Friends of the Wick Country Park do a fantastic job, as do the Friends of the Memorial and other groups who are constituted. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else wish to?
Chair, Grant wants to come back.
Yeah, just to say, any groups like that, Councillor, where Josh and Colleen, our CDOs, can help support those groups with becoming constituted and setting up, should they choose to. That's exactly what we're here for, if that's where they want to go. So please make that introduction.
Councillor Sargent.
I think Grant has made a very, very useful contribution there, because as the point made by Councillor Myers, these groups are tight. Some of the groups are tiny, and it's difficult for them to get funding and get off the ground. I mean, I was fortunate last year to go to a presentation over in Pitsea where there was all these clubs came together, and I was amazed by the amount of people of this borough and the work that they do in our outside spaces. it's unbelievable, and I just think that our money is being well spent giving it to those, and if other smaller groups can come together and the council can arrange for them to get funding, not just for council funds but elsewhere, that would really, really help them. So very supportive, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Wasn't sure if Councillor Jeffrey had his hand up, but no, scratching his. Right, okay, so the committee agree to a £3,000 funding award to the Friends of the Wick Country Park from the Wickford Community Priority Fund. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. So now we go to a 3,036 funded award to which has gone up because we got an addendum as well. So okay, I've been advised we do the addendum separate. Yeah. Yes, I've been advised to do the addendum separately, so we've got another club in Oak Bridge coming on the addendum. So we've got 3,036 funded award for older people's clubs in Wickford for Christmas events from the Wickford Community Fund. And we've got a change of sponsor for the older people's funding in the Shopgate Wednesday Club. It's proposed now by Councillor Brockman and not Councillor Hammond, who's got who's part of the committee. So can I pass over to Grant?
Yes, of course, Councillor. So yes, there's obviously the whole borough and Wickford very clearly is very blessed with a large number of groups of pensioner or older people's groups coming together, offering that chance to that associational life to enjoy company and be active of mind and of body at this time. Clearly, Christmas is a particularly important time for all of our communities, and the funding here is proposed to support a number of those groups in the area. All of those that are constituted with being able to set up Christmas events. So there's differing amounts for different groups. I'm very grateful to my colleague. I'm here with Colleen, who's been working with all of those groups to understand what it is that they needed and what they wanted. And I guess setting them out here, there's Spencer's Court Senior Citizens Club, which has been running for over 40 years now, and they're seeking £900 to hold a Christmas party event for all 49 members to attend, and that funding will be utilised to provide a buffet, entertainment and tableware. The Shopgate Wednesday Club, just discussed a moment ago, is a weekly club for over 50s. They're seeking £936 for a Christmas meal for all 48 of their members. The Wickford Senior Citizens Friday Club meet at the Lebanon Centre in Wickford on a Friday afternoon, and they have approximately 45 members aged over 50, and the club is seeking £650 towards a Christmas party buffet for their members. And the Wick Community Centre Senior Citizens Club meets all year round in Wickford, and they are seeking £550 towards a Christmas event for their members to attend. So I'll leave it to you as to discuss with your committee as to whether they want to take that on block or vote independently. But I'll pass back to you.
Thank you, Grant. I was going to take it as a block, but I'm open to any suggestions. But does anyone wish to speak on the item? So Jeffrey.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to thank Colleen for her work reaching out to the sheltered housing schemes in my ward to make sure that they weren't missed out. I just wanted to put my thanks on the record. And whilst we're talking about the over 55s club, I've just seen the Finance and Resources Committee agenda for the Town Council, and I just wanted clarification. As the leader of the council said that we can't duplicate, are we just bearing in mind that there's a £500 application for the Oak Wick Community Centre over 55s club?
Yeah, I did see that, but yeah, yeah. But this is specifically for a Christmas meal party type thing, so I don't think it is. But yeah. Well, can we clarify that?
Yeah, that wasn't disclosed to me, but I just approached them and explained about the Christmas funding, and I don't know that there was anything untoward. Maybe they just didn't realise that they needed to let us know that, but I wasn't aware, no.
Okay. Any other? Anyone else wish to speak on this? Councillor Myers.
Yeah. So, Mr. Taylor, is that okay then?
So for some clarity, this decision's before the town council one's been taken, or they've already gained funding from the town council? Well, I wouldn't expect any group to apply double funding for the same funding. So the fact that this is decision first, I think is legitimate to take. I would if and I don't know if the group if that funding is for exactly the same event, and they only need that £500, then I would imagine the group would no longer proceed with the other funding should this be agreed. However, I'm not clear, and it might be that they need that £500 for the event as well. So I couldn't give you that clarity.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Grant. I just want to make sure that they're not being sort of shortchanged by these clash of decisions as per the leader's announcements.
Thank you for that. Anyone else wish to speak?
I'm just checking.
Councillor Harrison.
Chair, I'll come in. I am on the Finance Committee of the Town Council. I have had a look at their grant application. It is £500. It doesn't refer to a Christmas meal or anything. It refers briefly to their rent, etc., etc. So it appears to be for a different thing. I say appears because it's not a very detailed one.
Thank you for that, Councillor Harrison. Does anyone else wish to speak on this item? No? All I will say is that I would like to thank Colleen for all the work she's done, and the phone calls times she's phoned me up and all that. She's done a lot of work on this, and I'd like to put in public my thanks to Colleen for doing this. Councillor Myers?
We are. I just wanted to clarify that obviously for item 7 I'll be removing myself because the fencing club and the bowls club are constituted clubs within the Wickford Community Association, of which I'm treasurer, but however the Friday club is a hirer and not constituted as part of the club, so I wanted to make that clear in my declaration of interest. Thank you.
So do we take them on block or separately? On block, okay. Everyone agree we take them on block, yeah? All those in favour, please show.
I don't think I can vote.
No, you can't vote, yeah. Councillor Brockman. All right. But yeah, the committee's agreed to that. So now we go on to the next item, which is 1,436.30.
Do you want to do the addendum first?
Do you want me to do the addendum first? Okay, we'll do the addendum first. The addendum is, again, for a Christmas meal. It's for £875 for the Notebridge Village Residents Association Older People's Christmas lunch for 35 residents. So I'll let...
Yeah, I'm not certain there's much more I can add to that, Councillor. So yes, obviously this one's come as an addendum as Colleen have been working to ensure we got that information in time. So yeah, much like the others you just said, £875 for the Notebridge Village Residents Association's Older People's Christmas lunch. Thank you.
Councillor Sargent.
Yes, I'm happy to propose the addendum, Chairman, for the ward that I live in, And I'm so thankful for Colleen for speaking to the Residents Association and giving them an opportunity to put forward their grants, and which I'm very much supportive of. So you've had a big round of thanks this evening, and well deserved, Colleen, so thanks very much.
Anyone else wish to speak on this? No? Okay, shall we'll vote on the agenda addendum that the Noakbridge Village Residents Association are awarded £875 for their Christmas party for 35 residents. All those in favour? So that's passed. So we've done so now we do the award of funding of 1,436 and 36 pence funding award to the Wickford Community Association from the Wickford Community Priority Fund grant.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Yep. So the funding is proposed to support the purchase of a new indoor bowls mat and also fencing equipment for young people. So the funding is broken down as a indoor bowls mat, 45 foot by 6 foot, which is £1,050. 4 beginners protected jackets, presuming for fencing rather than the bowls. £70 each. That comes to £280, and a coach's over jacket for the fencing, which is £106.33. So you're probably wondering why it's so specific, because this is direct quote. So my thanks to the association for getting full quotes and providing that for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we got any comments?
Excellent project, Chairman, coming on from one of our community centres. So happy to support, and I really thank Councillor Myers for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Councillor Allen?
Yeah, where do the bowls come from and the foils for the fencing? Where do they come from?
You bring your own bowls.
I mean, I can only presume they've already got them, and why they've not asked for this funding, I don't know.
You buy them.
I can only presume they've got that if they're asking for this.
Thank you.
So, should we vote on that? 1,400. The committee's agreed to a £1,436.36 funding award to the Wickford Community Association for the Wickford Priority Fund. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous, apart from one. So, thank you. That's all the funding for this round of funding. We'll now move on to a presentation of the 3 awards from the Pride team. If I'll hand over to the officers.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Mark Aldridge. I'm the interim grounds maintenance, arboriculture and Pride team manager. Joined by David Keeble, who's the Pride team supervisor for the teams across the district. We're just going to do a short presentation on basically what the Pride teams do and what they offer. Sorry, it's not coming up. No, it's not moving.
You've got your screen share on. You've got it on the screen share.
Yeah, it's on there, isn't it? Yeah, it's on there.
So it should.
It's on the slideshow, is it?
So I'm saying if it's not on the slideshow, you'd have to click on them to go through it. Yeah. you got it sharing? Will it not go, if you just click on the next one, will it not change at all? No, it doesn't on there. It's got it on sharing at the moment. It's showing sharing, but...
So we're only on that one.
It hasn't got the red line around it, has it? But it's sharing that particular bit, has it? Maybe if you stop sharing and then do it again. If you put share,
Apologies for that. Okay, so this is David Keeble. He's also the Pride Team Supervisor. He's just going to assist me with the slides, etc. So the scope of type service, the work the Pride Teams do are basic hedge pruning. So that's pathways, sight lines, windows, gas flumes, estate projects, clearing of hard standing soft landscape areas, spraying and weed killing, removal of dumped items, various flat blocks and estates, event support, and work on AP schemes, Christmas decorations, painting steps. Basically, lots, you name it, they will do it if they've got the skills to do it. So they can do pretty much everything, really. Where's it going? So the Pride teams consist of 14 operatives in total, 7 teams, 2 persons per team. Each team has a van and various tools. 4 of those teams are reactive teams, which basically go out and respond to CRMs, urgent works, anything that we need to do across the district. And there's 3 other teams, which we are the housing teams, which cover work within the housing areas across the district. So obviously you're saying across the district, across your area. They're not specific to any areas, they do across the district, so whatever comes up, those teams will go ahead and do. That's monthly figures from September of the work that we've completed. So there was 84 CRMs. If you don't know what CRMs, basically that's customer reports. 160 service requests, 13 council inquiries, 14 internal requests which were completed, 34 white goods which were removed, 77.
77,
Yeah, 77 24 items. So basically what that is we can get called out to any emergency of, so for example, a fire risk, an area that we have to remove straight away, so that's within 24 hours. In total, 60 tonnes of waste. Thankfully, no complaints received. And the next one, no urgent out-of-hours reports received. And we also have grounds maintenance support across the district. So just a breakdown of the tonnage of 60 tonnes across the areas, obviously not related to yourselves, but just an example really. 19 tonnes in Crayland, Southern Coates, Balance Way, Fillmore's and various blocks, 10 tonne. Team 5, various flat blocks, 14 tonne. Grounds maintenance teams, that's the 4 reactive teams, that's 16 tonnes. So that's mostly green waste and soil, etc., which is a total of 60. And a few photos, just probably that's better explanation of what we can do. So this is some pictures of when we helped out on the Wickford in Bloom. So that actual picture there is Bromwell Road roundabout, where the cemetery is. And obviously, as you can see, the total massive problem we have with bramble this year, everywhere. So the lads got into that and cut that right back and actually found there was a fence there. So you'll be quite surprised what you can find when you start cutting things back. So yeah, and obviously then we opened up the footpath for people to walk on. So certainly helped tidy up that entrance into the town. So these are other examples of footpaths that we have to clear. Again, there's the famous ivy that seems to be everywhere, as well as the bramble. And obviously we're getting them clear back and do a thorough clean. Back to what you can see in that middle picture there, which is obviously back to what it was originally. Again, more examples, again of ivy there again, and just general footpaths clearance that we carry out. And another example, I mean, it just goes to show how bad some of the areas do get forgotten about. These are some pictures of some dumping and what was that, courtyard or?
Yeah, that's the castle estate in Pits.
Yeah, that was of
fire
basically
access.
how things get. This was a fire access, so it was obviously an urgent. How overgrown it gets fairly quickly, to be honest with you, in the last few years, and that's the sort of dumping that we have to clear. The guys do really work hard, and some of the things they have to remove, I wouldn't want to remove, to be honest with you, but it's not a very nice task, but they do a great job. Good example of a major problem we've got across the district, not just Wickford but everywhere, is ivy seems to be getting away.
Well, who's in Wickford?
I don't think this one's
The
Wickford.
first few slides
Yeah,
were.
but this-
Yeah, the first few
Yeah,
slides
this
were.
one's not Wickford.
It's not Wickford,
This is just an example
just an
of what we do, though.
example.
So, yeah. Again, there's a subway there, public footpaths, subways that we've trimmed back. So again, it's facing back vegetation and finding obviously fences and things that we never knew was there. And another example, which was of a garden. You can see on the top left there how bad that garden was. That's like 6 foot high, completely covered. And the lads had to go in and clear that right out, which took a lot of work, but you can see what it was left as it was left, which done a superb job, and it completely changed. Again, courtyard, I think that is, or clearing out the bramble, etc. Dumping is a major problem, as we all know. Just some of the items that we obviously have pictures of some of the items we have to clear. There's black bags, furniture, sofas.
Can I ask you a question? Why are the Pride teams clearing up general waste?
Because that's part of their scope of work. If they were going into it, we get requests from housing mainly, so that's more of a housing request. So obviously we have 3 teams that cover housing areas as well, so we might have to go into a housing area where there is this problem, and there might be other works we do as well, but we won't just do one job, we'll just clear the lot. Again, more examples of dumping. Obviously, in the bottom left-hand side there, a lot of the problems we get is in flat blocks, where people just bring it down the stairs and dump it under the staircase, where it becomes a fire risk, and that's what we call the 24-hour call-out. So we get a response to go and clear those. We have to do them straight away, and that is over the weekends as well. So that's the response every day of the week. And last but not least, this is just the programme of works that we've been doing this year, right up to March next year. And you see a lot of the work there is peak growing months. So instead of normally spend a lot of time on projects in certain areas, this year, because of the growing conditions, etc., we've spent most of the year trying to face back hedges and keeping weeds, brambles down. That's all we seem to be doing, to be honest with you. And finally, if you need a quick request to contact us for any works to be done, just contact us on the council inquiries, service timescales for urgent works, or routine works and planned works, protective work plan for a year agreed by Cabinet and Housing and Cabinet Member for Environment and Leisure. Thank you. So if there's any questions.
Thank you for that. Have we got any questions? Councillor Brockman.
Yeah, thank you very much for that presentation. Can I ask you, do you think you've got enough operatives? And if not, how many would you like to have? No, across the borough. Specifically Wickford, if you want.
This is only my opinion. Personally, I think we do have enough. But because of the issues we've had with the grounds maintenance contract and because of the lack of summer prune, etc., and over the last couple of years, that has obviously made our work go on to those sort of facing back hedges more than anything else. So if that was back into the equation, the summer prune, we wouldn't be spending so much time facing back hedges and keeping footpaths clear. But I think, you know, if it was back to how it was before, yes, we would be okay with that amount. But we could, you know, if you wanted more teams, we're quite welcome. There will always be work there. There will never not be enough work.
Councillor Sargent.
Mark, I'm amazed that you only had 13 councillor inquiries. I think I've made about 40. I mean, you do put the pride, your team puts the pride in the pride team. You know, I've got to say, and some of the areas that I've waited and waited for are just coming on stream now, and they are a credit to you, you know, because the moans that we get from people, quite understandably, because they want their areas looking nice, and it's not the council's fault, it's no one's fault that they're left growing, but I've got to say, once you get round to it, and it's been difficult, hasn't it, over the past couple of years, it really does look nice, and all I can say is keep it up, and I'll make sure that I'll keep those council inquiries coming. So next time you come, you'll have hundreds of them. I mean, even my colleagues, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're keeping it from you. But they're certainly giving you the work.
Thanks for that, Councillor Sargent. I think that is probably a mistake because I'll probably deal with 13 council inquiries a week at least. So
that was just the stats for last month.
That was
basically
just for the
what
month,
was completed within that month.
But yeah, I mean, we are facing a lot of council inquiries at the moment. The lads are doing the best they can, and it is a bit of a struggle at times, but they do work very hard. And some of the tasks they have to clear, and some of the sites they go to are just horrendous, to be honest with you. But yeah, they do a great job. Thank you for that.
Can I just say, Chairman, ask Mark on behalf of the committee to say thanks very much. We're very pleased with the work that you do.
Thank you. Yeah.
Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I ask a question? Does the Pride team do the work alongside major roads? I'm thinking of Southend Road in Wickford, from Fredswood Yard to Cherry Lane. Because I chased up about good 12 times to get it cleared. I live nearby, so people knock on my door and complain about the footpath being shut, kids going to school, ones with pushchairs and that, the path is down to this width. A lot of work's been done there in cutting back, but the footpath is still only that wide because no efforts was made to actually clear back the ground stuff as well on the footpath. Is that the Pride team?
Is that Shotgate?
Yeah.
That's by the railway bridge, you mean there?
Yeah. Is that the Pride team?
Ivy Verdi cut that back initially.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, because I saw it happening, and it wasn't just 2 people, there was about 4 people.
Yeah, that would have been Ivy Verdi who did that, because that's part of the contract.
Not the Pride team.
But the Pride team could go back and clear the soil, but the issue was at the time, and that one was, it needed a tractor and a sidearm to do the work.
It did?
Because it was too dangerous to try and work off the footpath.
Yeah, it's not a very wide footpath, is it?
No. But yeah, every year that is a problem, but we can get the Pride team back to work on that soil as well, yeah.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Anyone else? Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to thank you both for all the work that you do. I've certainly put you through your paces, particularly on the Wick. And I just think what the shame is I think particularly on some of the issues I've reported, is that when your team does the work in, say, alleyways, that county can't match up and just put the weed killer over the top. Because I think that would help you guys, because you wouldn't have to keep coming back. And I just wonder if there's something that we have to say here, that it should be a little bit more aligned, that if something's being done, and I can think of a few alleyways that, and you can probably guess which one I'm talking about, it's just lining that up so you don't have to keep coming back so much.
I mean, yeah, it is a problem with the follow-up weed killing and the bramble situation. I think future-wise we will be severing it from the ground to sort of hold it back and encourage growth with the shrub work and stuff like that, to stop the light penetrating and allowing the bramble to take hold, if you like. yeah, I can only apologise for sort of Essex, if you like. That.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia, we do have teams that can spray, to be honest with you, so we will go and spray ad hoc as well. But yeah, we do find that we are fighting a losing battle because spraying isn't enough. There is the issues nowadays that obviously a lot of people don't want spraying, and a lot of people are anti-glyphosate, which is something we've got to face in the future. But in this moment in time, you know, we will try and do as best we can. But a little bit more support from county, not just on that, on a lot of their work, on a lot of the hedgerows, which are counties, would go a long way. But I must admit, this year, I don't know if you've noticed, there has been county officers, highways officers going around putting around enforcement notices on private business, private residents, but also on us. So I am getting notices from the county saying you need to face this hedge back, and ironically, some of those hedges are their own. But we're doing that, and we're doing the best we can. But it is a massive task, and a little bit. I think in the future, I know James is looking at it as well, of speaking to county and trying to get a bit more support and working closer together.
Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to reiterate everyone's thanks for all the work you do, because I remember when Wickford in Bloom was gearing up for the competition, I did see you down Runwell Road and also in some areas coming up Broadway up towards the bridge, doing some weeding and clearing and everything else, and it looks good. It still looks good now, to be fair. You've done a fantastic job. I understand exactly what Councillor Jeffrey is saying about sort of a county level of work and the help and support you're getting, and I do understand as well that the people are worried about the spraying with the glyphosate things. I work in the chemical industry myself, so I know what they're like and why people are sort of a bit hesitant about why people are using really strong sorts of weed killer. But I know there are other options, but they're probably a bit more costly to go through with. But I live on the Wick myself, and I will say this, sometimes I have seen a couple of alleyways being cleared and I've got a little bottle in the garage which I fill up and I do it myself. So sometimes, you know just follow you around and do it for you. So it's fine, it's from B&Q, it's absolutely fine. But yeah, home base, whatever, yeah, other shops are available. But no, thank you for all the work you do, and thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you for the presentation and for the work you do, and thank you for coming and answering the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If we're finished on that, sorry, I'll push the button. We've got a presentation by Myotis now. They'd like to tell us a little bit about what they do, so I'll hand over to the two people from Myotis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the introduction earlier, the very kind introduction. I appreciate it, and very much appreciate the chance to be here and to tell you a little bit about what we do. So yes, Paula Farrow, founder, and I'm the CEO of Myotas, My Own Time and Space, charity based in Wickford. And we are here to support neurodivergent young people and their families. And when we talk about neurodivergent, that includes autism, ADHD, OCD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and a whole range of difficulties and challenges that very often aren't just one thing, they often occur together. And before I tell you a bit more about what we do, I'm keen to share some facts about why we do what we do. So it's commonly accepted that about 1 in 7 people are neurodivergent. Those are statistics, the most recent statistics from Autistica University of Edinburgh. So in Basildon District, 186,000 people, and so roughly 27,000 people in our district are neurodivergent. And in Wickford, 34,000 people, so there's about 4,900 people in Wickford who would be neurodivergent. So it's no longer a tiny minority. It's a minority, yes, but there's a lot of people. And you don't need a diagnosis to access our services. And in fact, a lot of the people that we support are early on that journey and just starting to understand what those differences might mean and how they need support. So we support a lot of families who, through the diagnostic process and sort of in helping them to understand what to expect at the beginning of the journey. So CAMS, the Children and Adolescent Mental Health Service, would say that 70%, in excess of 70% of autistic children have diagnosable levels of anxiety. And actually it's probably much higher than that. Diagnosable levels of anxiety for children at those sort of levels. Autistic children are more likely to be excluded from school, and the Department of Education statistics prove this, and that it's somewhere between 2 and 3 times more likely for autistic people to be autistic children to be excluded, and that doesn't include those with ADHD and those other conditions. That's just for autism. Autistic people with no learning disabilities are the least likely to be in work of any other disabled group. And that's a really shocking statistic as well, because very often these very articulate, able to hyperfocus, many skills to offer, but just 21.7% of autistic people who don't have a learning disability are in employment. And that's the Office for National Statistics. And we've got the Lampard inquiry going on in this area at the moment, and the statistics around suicide are equally horrifying. So for roughly the 6,000 people that die by suicide every year, autistic people are 9 times more likely to die by suicide, and autistic children are 28 times more likely to think about or attempt suicide than their non-autistic peers. So, and you know, looking at the priorities for the borough in terms of addressing health inequalities and the vulnerable groups of people in our community, neurodivergent people definitely fall within that group. And I think, you know, there's been a movement over the last few years in terms of increasing the understanding, and that's a very big part of you know, what we're here to do. So we said in our piece before that we work to improve outcomes for neurodivergent people, young people and their families in 3 ways. We provide activities for children, and there are some strong principles behind all that we do in terms of everything being very accessible, having it in the right environment, low demand, and not everything will work for every child, but we want to provide a range of activities in the hope that there will be something for most children to be able to access. And we've been very well supported by the community. Grant has always supported us with the work in Wickford Memorial Park, which is an ideal place outside. And we have fantastic success stories. It's not just about the number of people, and we have about 70 places every week now that we can offer to young people in our groups. But it's more the case studies and the understanding how those statistics come to life with our young people. Often they're socially isolated, maybe in school, maybe not in school, but struggle to access mainstream activities out of school. And yet they can come with their parents, they can make new friends, they can climb the trees, they are completely free to engage in as much or as little of the activities that we put on as they want to. And another very important thing for us is that parents are welcome to come along as well. So parents would remain responsible for their children, but also often the parents will be anxious about leaving their child, and the children are often anxious at being left without a trusted adult. So it's a bonding opportunity, and we make the parents very welcome too. So all of our children's activities, there's support for families there as well. So we have the Woodland Warriors, we do yoga, mindful crafts, and inclusive football now that we're doing as well. So a good range of activities, and we want to do more. The second pillar of activity is to provide family support, and we do this through a range of channels. So I've put some statistics in the brief earlier, but we've got over 2,500 Facebook members now. We've got a very active and supportive Facebook group, I do have the stats. We know that we don't have them broken down by Wickford, but the Basden Borough, there's over 1,000 people from Basden, but we do have families from all over Essex and beyond. We run support groups. We have one in Netherden, one in Wickford, also Pitsea, Basildon and Langdon. And we go to other groups and go to school support groups as well. We also provide training. So we get guest speakers to come in and talk about items of specific interest to families. And we also co-wrote Exhibit A, the Supporting Your Neurodivergent Child book, which is supported by the NHS, and so our local ICB part funded this, and Essex County Council. And this is a by parents, for parents guide, 210 pages long, but it's kind of our experiences of parents of what that journey can feel like. So it can be very lonely. As a parent, you can feel very lonely and isolated. And what we want to do is to be able to give lots of information via the book, and also to be there to support families, empower them to be able to advocate for their children with services and make the most of those opportunities that are there. So we do a lot in the family support place. And then the reason that, the reason I'm here today and the reason for the request for the funding was that in Pillar 3, children's activities, family support, and then increasing awareness and acceptance in the community. And for our young people to have the best chance at success, we can do things for them, we can do things for the family, but actually this is a journey the whole community needs to go on. And we get invited, I get invited to lots of activities, to lots of things in Wickford, lots of meetings with service providers, and there's so much we want to say and so much we want to do, but every meeting that we're involved in or every event that we attend is at the opportunity cost of being able to spend time on the front line with families and with young people. So we want to be able to do more of that, because it is really important, and it's fantastic to have the opportunity to be here. But this will start to enable us to fund some additional resource to be present at things like the Wickford Carnival, the summer events that are running that we'd always like to be at, but it's just it's a capacity issue. So this will fund the funding that we've spoken about today, 3 hours a week, which won't be 3 hours a week, but it'll be at points through the year, and will really make a difference to us to be able to start doing that. So thank you very much for inviting us along. Thank you for listening. I am quite prepared to go on forever and ever about this stuff, because it's my special interest and it means the world. So always happy to answer questions and provide any more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Have we got any not too testing questions? Councillor Sargent.
Thank you very much. That was very powerful and very moving, very, very moving. You sound very much involved, and those people are very deserving of you. I have noticed that maybe it's the increase in awareness that you spoke of, but it's gone up enormously, hasn't it? This neuro, whatever. I mean, I can recall years ago when we were young and had our children, our friends had an autistic child, and obviously it was quite some time ago, and it was unheard of really. And the way that child was, it was total isolation. His parents had to devote so much time, and there was no understanding. Whereas now, hearing that those people can get into work because it's people surrounding them. And I think you're right, it's education, information to us now, the communities, because there must be enormous amounts of people like that within our communities, and how their parents must suffer, because they're very, very difficult, aren't they, to parent. And you know, to cater for their needs. But you're doing a fantastic job. That's really a tiny bit of money that we've been able to give you this evening, but it's going to go an enormous way, isn't it? Well done, and thank you so much.
Yeah, well, it really will. I mean, David has been involved with the charity since the days of, you know, when we started, when we needed money for anything, we sold pink bag. We would go around and collect bags of clothes, sort them and sell them. And, you know, that's how we funded our first guest speaker. And we had 100 people come to that event. And it was paid for by literally sitting at the bottom of my drive and doing those things. So, you know, we've moved on, but we value every penny is definitely still where we are at. And again, you know, stop me when we need to move on. But the points you make, I think it is a lot about awareness. And what we find is often neurodivergent traits are genetic. So often parents are coming to us with concerns about their child or issues that their child might be having at school or whatever, and then they start to notice and say, well, you know, I've always done that, I've never had a problem. And actually often the parents have been living with that all that time as well and have got their own challenges, and sometimes it's like the lights going on and things that they've found difficult and had to live with and had to mask have been present for them for a long while, and through their child's journey they're finding out a lot about themselves. And you know, absolutely there are people that have for many years of their lives gone unsupported and had great difficulties, and there are other people who, you know, the world moves on, were locked away, or who live upstairs in their parents' house, and you know, just with a few reasonable adjustments and some understanding, you know, the outlook, the outcomes for those people can be so much better. But you know, it's a journey.
Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much for a very eloquently given presentation. It was full of fact, info, and really, really brilliant to hear the thoughts that you have about the issue with myotas and generally with children with special educational needs, with autism, etc. Obviously, in our particular ward, we've got Carston School. It's currently going through a refurb and having new bits built onto it. We see all the time that few publicity and news around this area that is becoming more apparent to the general public, rather than just those in the healthcare setting or the SEND school education setting, or the charity setting such as yourselves. So I think it is really important that obviously tonight you've given this presentation. It is available on the council's YouTube page and everything else. So you've got a video record of the discussion that you've had this evening with us, which you can share at your own delights, of course, because it's freely available. I think that's really important. We also have, of course, with the neurodivergent over the last couple of years, with a play review with our playgrounds. Jeff Henry, Essex County Councillor, who lost his seat in May, was very much a part of that, with a large playgroup areas in Langdon, Pitsea, Northlands and Northlands Park, Lake Meadows, to name a few that have been completed, but had neurodivergent children in mind for those, so sensory play equipment and everything else. And I feel like this is a brilliant extra of what what we're trying to do, and to help you to do that as well, and for you to carry on what you're doing, and just to create the whole awareness of the issue that's coming towards us, because obviously people are reporting it more and more. We need to be cognizant to that. But I think that the whole spectrum, it's not just what you do, but it's how society itself moves with that, and how we can help, and how county can help, how the government can help going forward to support this need. So again, I thank you very much for your presentation. It was very interesting, very informative, and I hope you keep cracking on doing what you're doing. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to add my thanks to what you've done. Sorry, Councillor Harrison wants to speak.
Paula, brilliant. Can I just say that Councillor Myers said you've got the video, you can sell yourself now. I think Basildon Council should now cut this video from this area committee and publicise what Paula is doing for my OTAS. She said quite clearly now, it's not just Wickford, it is across other areas of the borough, and that's very important. And what she has done since 2019, when I think you had the idea, she walked around with a dog. We've still got the dog called Amber, yeah? Yeah.
I do. There was a group of
we
parents.
used to meet up
We came
talk.
together. It wasn't just me.
Turn it off, turn it off. We used to meet up and talk, and I think what you've done is absolutely brilliant. It's gone from down there to up there, but I still think you can go even further. And tonight, I think really the fact that we've given some money elsewhere as well, but to me, this is the best thing we've done this evening. And you will repay us enormously by your work across the area. You really will. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. I can only reiterate what everyone said, and thank you very much for coming. It's a good speech, and I'm glad we were able to give you some money. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, I'll put that on again. What I really want to do now is put together some sort of work programme going forward. So if anyone's got any ideas for a work programme, I've had one from the Friends of the Memorial Park. They want some money to put together the area by the river on the bend is very boggy, and they'd look like a stumpery for wildlife, and they're asking for 3,000 to 5,000 for that. So we'll put that on the work programme. If anyone's got any other ideas for the work programme, I've got a few here. The bus, I'd like to see the bus companies come and the rail companies come, because there's no bus and rail forum now. We've obviously got an additional crunch which we need to look at somewhere, and we've got the Elder Park bench is still. We're going to look into position for that, and I'd also like.
No, we deferred that and spent the money elsewhere.
We've spent the money.
Well, we've still got money in the budget, so. Yeah.
No, but we don't need to do it now, do we? We don't need a bench.
And I'd also like to reposition one in Netherden Road that was there originally, but we're looking at land ownership, so I'd like that one. So, has anyone got any other ideas?
I've had my hand up again.
Councillor Harrison.
Well, if you insist on ignoring me, I'm going to get angry. I did ask you, I couldn't get to the informal meeting because I was busy over here doing interviews, and I did ask you to put on the agenda that we have reports back, and I would hope they're finished first before I carry on.
Councillor Sargent, one meeting, please. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you. That I believe that the Highways panel meets regularly. It reports nowhere to members. I think the Highways panel should be reporting to this area committee on matters affecting from the County Council on the highway matters to this area committee, which covers, as Alex has said earlier, from Shopgate to Note Bridge. And I was hoping it was going to be on the agenda tonight, but it wasn't deemed appropriate apparently. But I think that's important. The fact that the administration has done away with the rail forum and the bus forum, I think means that we should add on each of our agendas the necessary reports back affecting rail services, mainly in Wickford, obviously, because there's not a station in Crouch, but also the bus services which cover the whole area, As you're aware, Chairman, I've put you in touch with the relevant person on Greater Anglia who you've made contact with, so that he will be happy to report to this area committee. I think that's important that we have these items dealt with here. I think we should also look at the Pride team, and eventually, if the area committees continue, I would like to have the area committee have a Pride team which was worked for this area committee.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, there were a couple of outstanding items that we raised with Colleen last week, and she's come back. I mean, Stuart will raise one of the matters. There was the item at Hanley's Chase, and it was a matter for a duck board. You know, in the end, it was a duck board, and we've put one on another pond. They're about £300. And to be honest, it was talk about land ownership. We're here for residents, and those residents that live there are taxpayers. So, I mean, to give them a nice little duck board with some landing platforms would be good. We're not asking anything else. I did actually raise about the Coppice Lane pond, because we've got Rob, the residents have set up a forum that Rob is working with them, and I've been involved in that as a local councillor. And there's a group willing and waiting, volunteer group, to do work on that pond, and obviously it's seasonal, etc. But I mean, again, it was, well, we're not sure whether we can do any funding. But I mean, there might be a small amount of money that group could, but then, they'd go through someone else that's constituted. But, I don't like us turning down things. I mean, the council does own that pond, the Coppice Lane pond, but I mean, they're things that if people are willing to get involved in them, that's how it is over Hanley's Chase. It's, it's the community that's doing it. And I think that's most important, that as much as a bench is a bench, the fact that we support our local communities that are doing the volunteering, because that breeds more volunteers. And just as an aside from that, I think we've noticed this evening, even in what the wonderful Pride team have done, it would have been nice to have seen at least one thing they've done in the Crouch side of the ward. But nonetheless, and that's what I think that we, us three councillors, would like, to make sure that we are 1/3 of the three wards, and that don't forget us, bring us up. We won't be greedy, but I mean, we just want to be recognised as an equal part of this committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you for that, Councillor. I think you'll find that Crouch and Castleton, as a ward, has had quite a lot of funding tonight. And the other thing is, with the addendum, that was Colleen will say that I wanted something in Note Bridge. That was from me, a park councillor, wanted something in Oak Bridge, which is why Colleen did all the work on it. So we're not leaving you behind. I'd just like to point that out. But thank you for your.
No, and I thank you, Chairman. But it was last week where we had the conversation where we were able to do that. But I just thought this evening, I wasn't really talking about projects, but on the Pride and the Pride bit, come into Crouch, because they had some good examples of the work that they've done. That's what I'm saying. Don't forget us, because as I said in the beginning, it's called Wickford. It should really be called Wickford Crouch. That's because people in Note Bridge think there's a Wickford committee. Well, where's ours? We're part of Wickford, and that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Councillor Allen?
Yeah, my concern is the flooding of the Ramsden Bellhouse play area, and I wondered if we could get officers involved in designing something. And it's what to do about it at the moment, really, rather than to identify a design that's what's required there to make sure that the play area, because the play area is up for renewal soon, and but we don't want it just put back where it is, because it would be vulnerable to flooding in some seasons, and So I wonder if that could be put on the work programme for us to consider and contact officers.
Yeah, there's no reason why it can be put on the work programme. We can look at it. Don't know what we can do but yeah, I agree. Put it on the work programme. Yeah. Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Chairman. Just on the Stumpery Garden, I had written to Colleen to advise that I would sponsor that as the chair. I think the chair is a constituent, and obviously the Memorial Park is quite broad-based. So I just wanted to clarify I'm prepared to sponsor that. So obviously they do amazing work. And whilst we're just on the community showcase, if possible, could officers write to the Friends of the Memorial Park and ask them to give a presentation? I've seen the one at St Andrew's Church. I think I enjoyed it. I hope everyone on the committee enjoys it as much as I did. And I'd love for them to be invited to come along, the whole committee to come up. And just one other point as well is, and I think this may be for Grant or maybe a sort of land officer, is I want to investigate some new fencing, and I'm not so sure on the location just yet, because it's sort of a variance on what we've got there already. So if it's possible, Chair, if I can sort of talk to officers first and just get the numbers in, and then sort of bring it forward for circulation on the project, because I don't want to make the public announcement here just in case it's obviously gone wrong. Is that okay with officers first?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously if there's a project that the council wants to explore, working with the relevant department as to the viability of it, it can, with the chair's agreement, go on to the report next time. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the work programme now, I guess.
It was just better to see it in person. And just one other point, I'd like to raise for this committee to review bin emptying, because in some areas it's really unsatisfactory. The shops on Southend Road, across the Wick, we really need to get on top of this. I think it's gotten worse since May, but obviously not everyone will agree. But I just think we really need to get on top of bin emptying.
Just one point on what Councillor Jeffrey said. You wouldn't be able to sponsor anything at the Memorial Park because it has to be a ward councillor, and that's in Wickford North. So just
Chairman, it was just that my OTAS, of which I think does great work, but the Memorial Park is used by everyone, and my OTAS is used by everyone, but based in the Memorial Park. So I think it was proposed by a park councillor, and I'm doing it on the same principle.
yeah, well, that's what I've been told. You have to be a ward councillor, but my OTAS is everywhere. The Memorial Park is a position within Wickford North. That's my understanding. But we'll come to that point as and when. But yeah, I'll just. Councillor Harrison.
Chairman, can I ask that we get a report? It might be useful not at the next committee, but to members of this area committee, as to what is in the pipeline for the area already in the council's budget for expenditure on play areas, etc., items which otherwise we're going to toss in somewhere and use this money when it was already planned to do it with some other money. So I'm just interested, perhaps we could be provided of items of capital and revenue expenditure within the Wickford Area, sorry about not missing Crouch off the end of it, but the Wickford Area Committee area for the rest of this financial year.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's just a report. Yeah, we could have that. Councillor Brockman.
Yeah, Chair, before you announced that you wanted the Friends of Memorial thing, Stumpery, put into the work programme, I was actually one of the ward councillors that was written to about this, so I was going to sponsor it anyway, but you kind of opened the discussion up about it, and then Jules jumped in on it, so if it comes to it, I'm quite happy to sponsor it as well.
Thank you for that. Councillor Myers on the end over there.
On the end and finally, I suppose, as you got round. I've had some costing from Grant and for some streetlights. I'm in discussions with other relevant parties to do with that for installation and the connection, and obviously the ongoing revenue cost of lighting them. We can all guess who they're going to be. But I'm still waiting for an update from them. I've got a meeting in 2 weeks' time with our friends at Essex to do with that. They seem quite happy at the moment to look at the site and to see what more can be done in that location in the park. But I just want it provisionally put onto the work programme in case I get positive news and then to come back forward. There's no point putting it actually generally on the work programme if they're just going to say no. So, well, of course, you know, if they say no, you ain't got a leg to stand on, have you? So provisionally on the work programme after the meeting I have in a couple of weeks, and I'll liaise with Grant about what they say afterwards and see where we go from there.
So yeah, I agree. But just confirm, where's this lighting? Up to the memorial, up to the.
No, it's behind the fire station, the alleyway, Netherden Park.
Oh, another one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, the meeting's closed. Thank you very much.